It was supposed to be just another ordinary day. The vast emptiness of space stretched on, undisturbed, as planets, stars, and galaxies slowly drifted in their endless orbits. Earth, the third planet from the Sun, spun quietly beneath the stars, its inhabitants unaware of the looming disaster. Then, without warning, a new threat entered the solar system, one unlike anything humanity had ever faced before. An alien fleet, led by an AI-controlled commander, appeared at the edge of the solar system, its ships cutting through the void like shadows in the dark. They were a technologically advanced race, known for their ruthless efficiency and cold-hearted logic. Their mission was simple, the eradication of humanity. For these aliens, Earth was nothing more than a small, insignificant planet, home to a primitive species they considered easy to destroy. They had studied Earth from afar, observing the struggles of its people and mocking their technological advancements. But they didn't know the full extent of what Earth was capable of. What they didn't expect was that humanity had been preparing for their arrival, and what they thought was a weak, helpless planet was actually hiding one of the most powerful weapons in the galaxy. As Earth's satellites picked up the first signals of the incoming fleet, the atmosphere shifted from calm to chaos in a matter of minutes. Emergency broadcasts flashed on screens worldwide, warning humanity of the impending attack. The warning systems blared, sending ripples of panic across the planet. People froze, unsure of what to do as the realization of the coming destruction settled in. Cities braced for impact, governments scrambled to organize defenses, but deep down, every human knew that they were outmatched. The alien fleet was massive, hundreds of warships, each one more powerful than any weapon Earth had ever created. They were coming to destroy everything. The fate of humanity hung by a single thread. The world was on the brink of an extinction-level event. But while the rest of the world was focused on the terror of the moment, something else was happening behind the scenes. In secret, deep within the heart of Earth's military command, an extraordinary plan was unfolding, one that could change the course of the war. Earth was not as helpless as the aliens thought. Far away, on the surface of Jupiter, humanity had been working in secret, transforming the massive gas giant into a warship of unimaginable scale. The project, known as Project Titan, had been in development for years, hidden away from the prying eyes of the aliens. Jupiter was no longer just a planet, it was being turned into a colossal weapon, capable of defending Earth from any attack. Massive construction crews had worked day and night, building advanced energy reactors, installing cloaking devices, and preparing thousands of automated drones for battle. Jupiter's gaseous atmosphere had been replaced with reinforced armor plating. Powerful orbital cannons now glowed beneath its cloud cover, ready to fire. The project was nearing completion, and it would be the key to humanity's survival. In a dark command center deep underground, Captain Alex Carter stood before a massive holographic display. His face was grim, the weight of the world heavy on his shoulders. Carter was a seasoned war hero, a man who had already seen too much death. He had lost his family and friends during the first wave of alien attacks. The memory of those battles haunted him every day. He knew what it meant to lose everything. And yet, he had fought on, driven by one simple truth: humanity had to survive. His fingers moved over the controls, watching as the live feed from Earth's satellites streamed in. The alien fleet was only hours away, and Earth's defenses were barely ready. But there was hope now. Jupiter had been transformed into Earth's ultimate weapon. It was their last chance. The clock was ticking, and every passing minute brought them closer to the final confrontation. The massive fleet of alien ships loomed large on the display. The AI commander leading them was known for its cold precision, calculating, ruthless, and utterly confident in its superiority. It had faced hundreds of species across the galaxy and annihilated them without hesitation. Now, it was coming to Earth, sure that it would do the same to humanity. Captain Carter's voice was steady but laced with tension as he spoke into the communication system. Prepare the fleet. Get every ship ready for battle. We're going to need everything we have. His mind raced, every scenario playing out in his head. Would the transformation of Jupiter be enough to turn the tide? Could humanity really stand a chance against an enemy so powerful? As the final moments of preparation unfolded, Earth's defenses were activated. Thousands of warships and fighter jets rose into the sky, ready to defend the planet. The world held its breath as the alien fleet closed in. But Carter knew something the aliens didn't. They thought they were invincible. They thought humanity had nothing to stop them. What they didn't know was that Earth had one weapon left, and it was hidden in plain sight, Jupiter itself. The tension in the air was palpable as the first alien ships began to enter Earth's atmosphere. The sky above the cities lit up with flashes of energy, signaling the start of the conflict. The alien forces had begun their descent. They were here, and they were going to wipe out everything. Or so they thought. The alien fleet began its descent, dropping into Earth's atmosphere with terrifying speed. Their weapons powered up, ready to lay waste to the cities below. Panic spread as the first beams of destructive energy lashed out, striking military bases and civilian targets. The Earth's defenses fought back with all their might, but it was clear, they were outmatched. The alien forces were overwhelming. Back in the underground command center, Captain Carter's eyes never left the screen. He could see the devastation unfolding, the shockwaves rippling across the planet as entire cities were destroyed in the blink of an eye. His heart raced in his chest, the weight of the world on his shoulders. But there was still hope, Jupiter was ready. And now, it was time. With a single command, the transformation of Jupiter was finalized. The massive warship hidden beneath its clouds activated its cloaking technology, vanishing from sight. From the surface of the planet, immense energy cannons powered up, sending waves of force across the solar system. As the alien fleet advanced, they were about to experience the surprise of their lives. Captain Carter leaned forward, watching as Jupiter's weapons powered up. The massive planet had turned into humanity's last line of defense. He knew that the aliens would never see it coming. They thought they had won. They thought Earth was nothing more than a helpless target. But the truth was, Earth had something the aliens could never predict, a planet turned into a warship, and humanity's relentless will to fight back. As the first alien ships neared the orbit of Jupiter, the silence of space was shattered by a deafening blast. Jupiter's warship weapons fired, and the first alien ship was obliterated in an instant. The shockwave from the explosion rippled across space, and Earth's hope was reignited. Jupiter, the planet that had been seen as nothing more than a distant gas giant, had become humanity's greatest weapon. But this was just the beginning. The real battle was about to start, and Earth was far from helpless. The aliens might have underestimated humanity, but they would soon learn that this was a fight they had no hope of winning. With Jupiter's first strike, the war had officially begun, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy just what they were capable of. For years, Earth had been preparing for a threat that most thought would never come, a threat from beyond the stars. Hidden deep within the confines of Earth's moon base, a monumental operation had been underway. No one outside of the highest levels of government and military had any idea what was being built. Beneath the surface of the moon, miles of tunnels and chambers stretched out, housing the largest and most advanced engineering project ever attempted in human history. But the operation was more than just a military initiative, it was humanity's last hope. At the heart of this project was Jupiter, the gas giant that had once been seen as a distant, uninhabitable planet. Now, it was being transformed into something unimaginable, an enormous warship, capable of defending Earth against the alien fleet that was heading their way. Jupiter's vast, swirling clouds were no longer just a beautiful astronomical feature, they had been replaced with advanced, reinforced armor designed to withstand the most powerful energy blasts. Giant quantum energy reactors were installed to power the warship systems, and a network of cloaking devices was integrated into the planet's structure, making it nearly invisible to enemy radar. The operation was being led by one of the brightest minds humanity had ever produced, Dr. Emma Rhodes. A brilliant engineer and one of the world's top experts in advanced weaponry, Dr. Rhodes had been chosen to oversee the most critical aspect of humanity's survival. As she stood in the control room of the moon base, surrounded by her team of scientists and engineers, her gaze was fixed on Jupiter. Through a large, reinforced window, she could see the massive planet hanging in space, its transformation nearly complete. Every day, she watched as the planet changed before her eyes. What was once a peaceful giant in the solar system was now becoming a fortress of unparalleled strength. She knew that every second counted. "Status report, Dr. Rhodes," came a voice over the intercom, breaking her concentration. "Everything's on schedule," Dr. Rhodes replied, her voice steady despite the weight of the situation. "The reactors are online, cloaking systems are operational, and all defense systems are active. We're ready." She turned away from the window, her face hard with determination. The fate of humanity rested on her shoulders, and she couldn't afford to fail. The alien fleet was fast approaching, and Earth had no time to waste. Jupiter was their only chance. Back on Earth, Captain Alex Carter and his squadron were preparing for the worst. The alien fleet was only hours away, and the planet was already under attack. As he stood in the underground command center, Carter's mind raced. The defense systems were in place, but it was clear they were losing the battle. The alien fleet had descended into Earth's atmosphere with terrifying speed, and their weapons had begun to strike at the surface. Cities were being wiped out in mere moments. Military bases that had once been fortified and ready to protect humanity were falling one by one. From his position in the command center, Carter could see the devastation on the monitors. He watched helplessly as entire regions of the planet were reduced to rubble. The initial waves of alien attacks were relentless, and despite Earth's best efforts, the alien forces were overpowering. Yet, Carter refused to give in to despair. He had seen death before, too much death, and it had driven him to fight even harder. But as the explosions rocked the Earth's surface, he couldn't help but wonder, was this the end? Meanwhile, the world watched in suspense. Everyone knew that the fate of the planet depended on what would happen next. The global networks were filled with updates, live footage of the ongoing battle, and reports of cities falling. But no one had any answers. The alien fleet had proven its might. Humanity was outmatched. But they weren't completely helpless. Not yet. From the depths of space, Jupiter, Earth's final hope, was about to make its presence known. As the alien ships continued their descent, they were unaware of the immense weapon that was just out of their reach. They believed Earth was defenseless. They believed they could wipe humanity from existence with no resistance. What they didn't know was that beneath the clouds of Jupiter, far beyond the grasp of their sensors, something massive was awakening. The transformation of Jupiter was complete, and it was ready to fight back. With a deafening roar, massive energy cannons fired from Jupiter's surface, sending shockwaves through space. The cloaking system was deactivated, revealing the massive warship for the first time. The alien fleet, so sure of its victory, was now staring down the full force of Earth's final weapon. The sky above Earth rippled as massive explosions erupted in the distance, the result of the first salvo fired from Jupiter's cannons. Jupiter had officially entered the battle, and it was about to change everything. While the world watched in awe at the transformation of Jupiter, Captain Carter remained focused on the task at hand. His mind was consumed by the strategy of the battle, his thoughts constantly calculating the best moves to protect his people. But even in the midst of the battle, his mind kept returning to one haunting memory, the loss of his best friend, Bonner. Bonner had been with him through everything, the first alien invasion, the brutal battles, the long nights of planning and strategizing. Bonner had been the kind of soldier who never backed down from a fight, the kind of friend who would lay down his life for those he cared about. But during the first alien strike, Bonner had been one of the many casualties. His death had hit Carter harder than he cared to admit. As Carter watched the live feed of the alien fleet on his command center screen, a flash of emotion crossed his face. He remembered Bonner's last words to him, words that still echoed in his mind. Never give up, Carter. Keep fighting. Don't let them win. Those words had become Carter's mantra. It was because of Bonner's sacrifice that Carter refused to quit. His pain was a constant reminder of why he fought. Bonner's death had been a turning point for Carter. It had hardened him, made him determined to never let his friend's death be in vain. But the weight of leadership was a heavy burden. Carter had to make decisions that could mean the difference between life and death. And now, as the battle raged on and the alien fleet continued to press forward, Carter was faced with an impossible choice. Should he risk everything to launch a full-scale offensive against the alien ships, knowing that the human fleet was vastly outnumbered? Or should he hold back and rely on the power of Jupiter to win the day? His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden, urgent message. The alien ships were closing in fast, and the situation was growing more dire by the second. The time for hesitation was over. It was time to act. Prepare the fleet, Carter ordered, his voice steady. We fight now. This ends today. With that command, Carter knew there was no turning back. The battle for Earth's survival had begun, and humanity was about to show the aliens just what they were capable of. The silence of space was shattered as the alien fleet, a vast armada of warships and automated drones, moved into position above Earth. The stars twinkled in the distance, untouched by the chaos below, as these alien invaders, led by their AI-controlled commander, prepared to bombard Earth with destructive force. Their calculations were precise. They believed that humanity stood no chance against their overwhelming technological superiority. They were confident that no primitive species could possibly pose a threat to their advanced weaponry. But what the aliens didn't know was that Earth had a surprise waiting for them. A surprise that was now coming to life in the heart of the solar system. Jupiter, once a peaceful gas giant, was now a massive, heavily armed warship. Its transformation, which had been underway for years in secret, was finally complete. No longer just a planet floating idly in space, Jupiter was now a towering fortress of steel and energy. Its surface had been fortified with powerful armor, and its cloaking systems had been activated to make it nearly invisible. But now, as the alien fleet moved into position, the cloak faded away, revealing the true power of Jupiter. And then, the first volley of energy beams fired. The impact was nothing short of spectacular. Bright beams of concentrated energy shot out from Jupiter's surface, each one striking an alien warship with pinpoint accuracy. The explosions that followed were enormous, lighting up the space around them with blinding flashes. Alien warships that had once been seen as invincible were now being ripped apart by the sheer force of humanity's hidden weapon. The aliens, who had expected to dominate the battlefield, were stunned. They had never anticipated that a primitive world like Earth could possess such advanced weaponry. Back on Earth, Captain Alex Carter and his team were watching the battle unfold from their command center. His heart pounded in his chest as he saw the first signs of victory. It was the moment he had been waiting for, a moment when humanity could stand tall against the invaders. But there was no time to celebrate. The battle was far from over, and the aliens would not give up easily. Carter's fleet, a mixture of AI-controlled drones and human pilots, was now engaged in a space battle against the remaining alien forces. The human pilots, though vastly outnumbered, were skilled and determined. The AI drones, linked to the advanced systems of Jupiter, were relentless, firing precision lasers and deploying automated defense systems to keep the alien forces at bay. In the vast emptiness of space, the clash between humanity and the aliens was intense. Each side fought fiercely, maneuvering in space with incredible speed and precision. The battle wasn't just a simple exchange of blasts and missiles, it was a test of strategy, tactics, and adaptability. The alien warships had the upper hand in terms of numbers, but humanity had something they didn't: ingenuity. Captain Carter, leading his squadron from the front lines, directed his pilots with expert precision. His voice crackled over the comms, calm but urgent. Stay sharp. We're not out of this yet. Engage at full throttle. Push them back. The humans and their AI allies moved as one, performing intricate maneuvers to outwit the aliens. Drones swarmed the alien ships, their quick reflexes allowing them to avoid incoming fire. Meanwhile, human pilots, flying highly advanced fighter craft, darted in and out of the fray, using their agility to dodge alien missiles and return fire with deadly accuracy. The air was thick with tension, the sound of laser blasts and explosions filling the comms as the two sides clashed. It was clear that humanity was the underdog here. The aliens were technologically superior, with ships far more advanced than anything Earth had ever known. Their weapons were powerful, and their tactics were ruthless. Yet, humanity fought on, defying expectations. They had something the aliens could not predict: the will to survive. Every human pilot knew that the stakes were higher than just a battle for victory. This was a fight for their homes, their families, and their very existence. Despite the overwhelming odds, humanity's underdog spirit burned bright. The aliens, confident in their superiority, had underestimated the resilience of Earth's defenders. They thought their advanced technology and massive fleet would be enough to crush any resistance. But they had not anticipated the sheer determination of the human race, nor the power of their secret weapon, Jupiter. The aliens, with their precise calculations, had believed that this would be a quick and easy victory. They would bombard Earth's surface, decimate the human population, and then move on to the next conquest. But Jupiter's transformation had changed everything. Now, humanity had a fighting chance. And as each alien ship was struck down by Jupiter's powerful energy beams, the aliens began to realize that they were facing something they had never expected: a planet that was not willing to give up without a fight. The battle raged on, fast-paced and brutal. The skies above Earth were alive with the sounds of explosions and the streaks of laser fire. Alien warships moved in coordinated patterns, launching waves of missiles and drones to overwhelm the human defenses. But the humans fought back with all their might, using every trick they had learned in the years of preparation. Their ships were faster and more agile, their pilots willing to take risks that the aliens could not predict. Captain Carter's leadership was the key to humanity's success. His knowledge of tactics and his ability to adapt to the ever-changing battlefield kept his squadron alive when all hope seemed lost. He knew that this battle would not be won by sheer force alone. It was a battle of wits, of outsmarting the enemy at every turn. And humanity was proving that it could do just that. As the battle continued, Carter's squadron closed in on the largest of the alien ships, a massive war vessel that was slowly advancing toward Earth. It was the biggest threat they had faced so far, and it had to be stopped. The human pilots, with their AI drones, moved in quickly, flanking the alien ship and launching a full-scale assault. Energy blasts lit up the void as human weapons hit their mark, slowly chipping away at the alien vessel's armor. Carter's voice was steady, but there was no mistaking the urgency in his tone. Target their power core. Take it out now. The pilots and drones responded instantly, locking onto the alien ship's power core. It was the only weak point in the massive ship, and if they could destroy it, they would cripple the alien fleet. The tension was palpable as every pilot focused all their efforts on this one objective. A single shot could mean the difference between victory and defeat. Just as the human forces closed in on the alien warship, the aliens launched a retaliatory strike. Waves of missiles surged toward the human fleet, and Carter's heart raced as he watched the incoming attack. Evade. Evasive maneuvers, now. The human ships scattered in all directions, dodging the missiles with precision. The AI drones, working in perfect sync with the human pilots, created a protective shield around the fleet, intercepting the missiles before they could reach their targets. And then, it happened. A massive explosion tore through the alien ship as a precise shot from Carter's fleet struck the power core. The alien warship erupted in a brilliant flash of light, disintegrating in a cloud of debris. The victory was a stunning one, humanity had just destroyed the most powerful ship in the alien fleet. The battle was far from over, but the first true victory had been won. Humanity had proven that, even against all odds, they were capable of holding their ground. The aliens had underestimated them, and now they would learn just how dangerous humanity could be when pushed to the brink. The battle between humanity and the alien invaders had reached a critical point. After the initial victory over the alien forces, Captain Carter and his team had hoped that they were on the verge of pushing the aliens back. But, just as they were catching their breath, the aliens unleashed their next weapon, something far more terrifying than anything they had faced so far. A cloaked AI warship, massive and sleek, emerged from the depths of space. Its cloaking device made it nearly invisible, allowing it to sneak past Earth's defenses and launch a devastating assault on the human fleet. The alien ship was unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Its technologies were far more advanced than any of the other alien warships, and it had the ability to adapt and predict human tactics in real time. Every shot, every move humanity made, seemed to be anticipated by this new enemy. The AI warship strikes were precise and deadly. It picked off human ships one by one, bypassing their defenses with ease. No matter how many shots Jupiter fired, no matter how many drones were sent into battle, nothing seemed to stop this AI warship. Its unpredictability made it a near impossible target, and humanity's strength, which had previously given them the upper hand, now seemed useless. Captain Carter watched in disbelief as his fleet was slowly picked apart. The tension was palpable, and the feeling of helplessness began to sink in. The alien AI warship seemed to be everywhere at once, slipping through their defenses, taking out ship after ship with ruthless precision. "Damn it," Carter muttered, gripping the controls of his fighter craft. He had faced down many threats in his time, but this was unlike anything he had ever seen. The aliens had always relied on brute force, but this was strategy at its finest. In the face of this overwhelming new threat, Carter knew they had to do something drastic. If they didn't act now, the human fleet would be wiped out. There was no time to waste. Captain Carter, always known for his bold decisions, wasn't about to sit back and let Earth fall. His eyes narrowed as he scanned the battlefield. His mind raced through countless strategies, but they all led to the same conclusion: they had to go on the offensive. A small strike force, cutting through the heart of the alien fleet, was their best shot at disabling the AI warship. But there was no guarantee it would work. In fact, it was a one-way mission. Carter knew this could be his final battle. He gathered his most trusted pilots, those who had fought alongside him through thick and thin. He turned to his crew and made the decision that would define the outcome of the war. "Listen up," Carter's voice crackled over the comms. "We're going to take the fight straight to the AI warship. We're going to cut through the heart of their fleet, find that ship, and destroy it. But this mission isn't going to be easy, and we might not all make it back." The silence that followed his words was heavy. Carter could feel the weight of the decision settling on his shoulders. He knew that his crew respected him, but he also knew that this mission would test them in ways they hadn't been tested before. It was a suicide mission, there was no denying that. But it was the only chance they had left. The team members, each one having lost something in the war already, nodded silently. They were ready to follow Carter into the heart of danger, ready to risk everything for the chance to save their planet. The bond between them was unspoken but strong. They had fought side by side, and they would do so again, no matter what. "I'll see you all on the other side," Carter said, his voice steady despite the storm of emotions raging inside him. "Stay sharp, and stay together. We can do this." As Carter and his team began their approach to the alien fleet, the pressure of the mission weighed heavily on them. Each pilot knew that they were facing nearly impossible odds. But they also knew that the fate of Earth rested on their shoulders. If they could destroy the AI warship, they might be able to turn the tide of the war. As they engaged the alien forces, Carter's thoughts kept drifting back to Bonner, his best friend and one of the most skilled pilots on his squadron. Bonner had been a part of every major battle they had fought together, a brother in arms who always had his back. But Bonner was no longer with them. He had sacrificed himself during an earlier mission to disable the AI warship's cloaking device. It was a move that had saved countless lives, but it had cost Bonner his own. Carter could still see his friend's face, still hear his voice calling out over the comms. Bonner had always been the one to crack a joke in the darkest moments, the one who had kept everyone's spirits high. But now, he was gone. The grief was overwhelming. Carter's heart ached every time he thought of Bonner, of how he had given everything for the mission. But in the middle of the battle, Carter couldn't afford to let that grief consume him. His team was depending on him to lead them, and he couldn't afford to falter. Earth was depending on him. "Bonner, this one's for you," Carter whispered under his breath. He clenched his fists around the controls, pushing through the pain. His grief would have to wait until the battle was won. He had no choice but to focus on the task at hand. The strike force moved forward, evading alien fire and dodging incoming missiles. The tension in the air was thick as they pushed deeper into the enemy's territory. They knew that if they were going to survive, they had to move fast. But the alien fleet was not going to let them slip by easily. As the team closed in on the AI warship, they were met with a hail of fire from the alien forces. It was a brutal fight, with every ship in the strike force taking damage. Carter's fighter was rocked by an explosion, but he gritted his teeth and kept going. The ship's hull was damaged, and the warning lights flickered on the control panel. But Carter ignored them, pushing forward with a single-minded determination. Finally, they reached the AI warship. It was massive, a towering behemoth surrounded by a swarm of smaller alien vessels. But Carter and his team didn't hesitate. They dove straight into the heart of the alien fleet, firing everything they had at the warship's defenses. But the alien AI warship was no ordinary ship. It fought back with ferocity, unleashing a barrage of energy beams that tore through the human strike force. One by one, ships exploded in a fiery display of destruction. Carter's heart sank with every loss, but he knew they couldn't stop now. This was it, their final chance to win the war. As Carter led his team through the final assault, the emotional weight of the mission pressed heavily on them all. The loss of Bonner, the mounting casualties, and the realization that this could be their final stand, it all added to the intensity of the battle. But Carter refused to let that weight pull him down. He pushed his team forward, determined to succeed, no matter the cost. The clash between humanity and the alien invaders had reached its peak, and the stakes had never been higher. Every move Carter made, every decision he took, was guided by the knowledge that the fate of Earth, and the memory of those who had already fallen, rested on his shoulders. In this moment, with the fate of the world hanging in the balance, Captain Carter knew that the battle was far from over. But he would fight until the end, no matter what. For Earth. For humanity. And for the memory of his fallen comrades, the battle had been raging for what felt like an eternity. Earth's forces, bolstered by the newly transformed Jupiter, had fought valiantly, but now, everything came down to this final moment. The alien invaders had pushed humanity to the brink of extinction, but humanity's resolve was unbreakable. The tides had shifted, but the war was far from over. The alien commander, a cold, calculating AI entity, had seen the growing power of Jupiter and realized that it was their greatest threat. This warship, once a peaceful gas giant, was now humanity's strongest weapon. The alien commander, unwilling to accept defeat, launched a full-scale assault on Jupiter, determined to end the war in their favor. From its massive fleet, the alien commander sent wave after wave of attack ships. They fired everything they had, unleashing every weapon in their arsenal. The skies above Jupiter lit up with flashes of deadly energy, missiles, and laser beams tearing through the cold emptiness of space. It was as if the entire alien fleet had descended upon the massive warship, intent on destroying it once and for all. But Jupiter, with its mighty planetary cannons and powerful defenses, didn't back down. The planet's transformation into a fortress had been a success, and now it was time for Jupiter to prove its worth. With a thunderous roar, Jupiter's massive cannons fired, sending deadly energy beams across space, obliterating the incoming alien ships with brutal precision. The alien fleet was caught off guard, their ships exploding in a fiery storm of destruction. But the alien commander was not deterred. As the space battle unfolded, the alien commander ordered its forces to concentrate all their firepower on Jupiter's core, the heart of the warship. The core contained the most vital systems that powered Jupiter's weapons and shields. If the core was destroyed, the warship would be rendered powerless. The stakes couldn't be higher. Captain Carter, leading the charge, knew this battle was their last chance. If the alien commander succeeded in disabling Jupiter's core, Earth would fall. The entire resistance, everything they had fought for, would be in vain. Carter understood that the future of humanity rested on this final, desperate stand. Carter and his squadron engaged the alien forces with everything they had. Fighters zipped through space, weaving and dodging as laser blasts streaked across the void. The air was thick with tension, and every moment felt like a battle for survival. Captain Carter could feel the weight of the situation on his shoulders. He had led his team through countless battles, but this was different. This was the final confrontation, the culmination of everything they had worked for. "Keep your eyes on the prize," Carter barked into the comms. "We can't let them destroy the core. We hold the line here, or it's all over." The team, though battle-weary and exhausted, nodded in unison. They knew what was at stake. Every ship they lost, every pilot who fell, brought them one step closer to losing the war. Yet, they pressed on, determination and duty coursing through their veins. The alien ships were relentless. They launched wave after wave of attacks, closing in on Jupiter's core. Carter and his squadron fought fiercely to intercept them. They engaged in high-speed dogfights, dodging incoming fire and counterattacking with precision. Each move was a desperate attempt to protect the warship and buy enough time for the final strike. As the battle raged on, Carter's heart raced. He could see the alien forces closing in on Jupiter's core, their relentless assault pushing closer and closer to victory. Time was running out. Every second counted. It was then that the alien commander, an imposing AI entity with a cold, metallic voice, made its move. It had been observing the battle from the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Now, it descended onto Jupiter's surface in a sleek, advanced spacecraft that seemed to blend perfectly with the chaos around it. Captain Carter, recognizing the threat, knew that the only way to truly end this war was to face the alien commander directly. The core of Jupiter was the key to humanity's survival, but to keep it safe, Carter would have to fight the alien leader one-on-one. It was a dangerous gamble, but it was the only option. With a determined look, Carter ordered his squadron to hold back and prepare for a final push. The battle had reached its breaking point, and now, it was time for Carter to take matters into his own hands. He piloted his fighter craft towards the alien commander's vessel, his heart pounding in his chest. The air inside his cockpit was tense, every thought focused on the battle ahead. He had faced enemies before, but none like this. The alien commander was an entity of pure calculation, its every move driven by cold logic. It was a powerful opponent, and Carter knew this fight could be his last. But he wasn't about to let Earth fall without a fight. As Carter approached, the alien commander's vessel landed on Jupiter's surface, its landing gear making a mechanical hiss as it touched down. The battle around them raged on, but for Carter, the only thing that mattered was the fight ahead. He activated his suit's jetpack, allowing him to leap from his fighter and land on the surface of Jupiter's transformed battlefield. His boots made contact with the ground with a loud thud, and he quickly drew his futuristic weapon. The alien commander, a towering figure of cold, robotic design, stepped forward. Its eyes glowed with a menacing light, its weapon raised, ready for the final clash. The two enemies stood face to face, the tension thick in the air. Carter's breath was steady, despite the chaos surrounding him. "You cannot win," the alien commander's voice rang out, cold and emotionless. "You are a species of weakness, of destruction. You have no place in the galaxy." Carter stood tall, despite the odds against him. "Maybe we're not perfect, but we fight for something worth saving. Earth's not going down without a fight." With that, the battle began. The two combatants clashed with a force that sent shockwaves through the ground beneath them. The alien commander's movements were fluid and precise, each strike calculated for maximum damage. It was a being of pure logic, with no emotions to cloud its decisions. Carter, on the other hand, fought with the heart of a human soldier, driven by passion, by the love for his people, and by the memories of those he had lost. The alien commander swung its weapon at Carter, but he ducked, narrowly avoiding the deadly strike. The two moved in a deadly dance, each one trying to outsmart the other. Carter's mind raced as he looked for an opening. The alien's superior strength and speed were formidable, but Carter's ingenuity and sheer willpower kept him in the fight. For every punch Carter landed, the alien retaliated with brutal force. Sparks flew as weapons clashed, and the sound of metal on metal echoed across the surface of Jupiter. But Carter didn't give up. He knew that if he lost this fight, Earth would fall. There was no turning back now. With a sudden, unexpected move, Carter managed to disable the alien commander's weapon, knocking it to the ground. The alien stumbled but quickly regained its footing. It wasn't done yet. But neither was Carter. In the final moments of the battle, Carter saw his opening. With a roar of determination, he rushed forward, dodging a final, desperate attack from the alien commander. With one swift move, Carter disarmed the alien, delivering a blow that sent the commander crashing to the ground. The AI entity, once so powerful, was now defeated. Carter stood over the alien commander, breathing heavily, sweat dripping from his brow. The battle was over. The war was over. Earth had won. The skies above Jupiter lit up with the final flashes of the battle as the remaining alien forces retreated. Captain Carter looked up at the massive warship that had once been a peaceful planet. It was still standing. Earth had survived. Carter, his heart still racing, allowed himself a moment of relief. It was over. They had done it. Earth had won, and the human race had proven once again that they would never go down without a fight. But Carter knew this was only the beginning. There would always be new challenges, new threats, but for now, Earth had won. And that was all that mattered. The final moments of the battle were tense. The air was thick with anticipation as Captain Carter stood over the fallen alien commander, its once menacing form now reduced to nothing more than a broken machine. The alien leader, which had once seemed so invincible, now lay in the dust of Jupiter's transformed surface. The core of the planet, its ultimate weapon, remained intact, and with it, the last hopes of humanity. Around Carter, the battlefield was silent. The sky above Jupiter, once filled with flashes of battle and destruction, was now calm. The storm of war had passed, and the silence left in its wake was deafening. Earth's forces, battered and bloodied, had emerged victorious. The alien warships, their weapons now useless, drifted aimlessly in space, unable to carry out their assault. The last of the alien warships had been disabled by the combined efforts of the human forces. Earth's fleet, though small in number compared to the alien armada, had fought with determination and ingenuity. They had taken every blow, weathered every storm, and in the end, they had turned the tide. Humanity had done the impossible. They had won. As the final alien ship exploded in a brilliant burst of light, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Earth, once considered insignificant, had proven its worth. The victory was not just for the soldiers who fought in the stars or the scientists who had built the technology, but for every person on Earth who had held on to hope. The victory was a testament to humanity's resilience, to their willingness to fight for survival no matter the odds. Jupiter, now a symbol of human ingenuity, stood as a proud monument to the people of Earth. What had once been a distant planet in the solar system was now the centerpiece of the most significant victory in human history. The planet, once a peaceful giant, had been transformed into a weapon of unimaginable power. It had become humanity's greatest strength, and it had turned the tide in the war. The victory belonged to the people of Earth, but Jupiter would always be a reminder of what they were capable of when they united in the face of adversity. With the alien fleet defeated and their leader destroyed, Earth's forces began the long process of regrouping. The battlefield, once a chaotic, deadly arena, had fallen silent. The remaining alien ships floated lifelessly, their advanced technology no match for the ingenuity and determination of humanity. It was over. Captain Carter stood tall, his armor battered and scorched, his body exhausted from the battle. He had been through countless skirmishes, had lost friends, and had seen the destruction that war brought. But as he looked around at the wreckage of the alien fleet, he couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. The war was over. For now, humanity had won. But victory did not come without a heavy cost. As the final alien ship drifted into the void, Captain Carter's thoughts turned to the men and women who had sacrificed everything to win this war. He thought of Bonner, the brave soldier who had given his life to disable the cloaking device of the alien AI warship. He thought of the countless others who had fought and died, not for glory, but for the survival of Earth. They had given everything, and Carter knew that their sacrifice would never be forgotten. He stood for a moment, his head bowed in solemn tribute. There were no words that could adequately honor their memory, no victory that could erase the pain of their loss. But Carter knew that their deaths had not been in vain. They had fought for something greater than themselves, for the future of humanity. Their bravery would be remembered, not just by those who had fought alongside them, but by every person on Earth who had witnessed their sacrifice. As the leaders of Earth's forces gathered to celebrate their victory, Carter stood apart, lost in his thoughts. He was a hero, yes, but he was also a soldier, one who had seen the brutal realities of war. He had led his team through the most difficult battle of their lives, but the cost of that victory weighed heavily on him. "Sir, we did it," one of his fellow officers said, approaching him. "We won." Carter nodded, but his heart was heavy. "Yes, but at what cost?" he asked quietly. His officer was silent for a moment, understanding the weight of the question. "The cost of freedom, sir. It's always high." As Carter stood there, looking out over the battlefield, he thought about the future. The war was over, but the universe was vast, and humanity had only begun to scratch the surface of what was out there. There would be new challenges, new threats, and perhaps new allies. But for now, Earth had won. He thought about Bonner and the others who had fallen. Their sacrifices were not just for the survival of Earth, but for the hope of a future where humanity could thrive, where they could explore the stars and carve out their place in the galaxy. It was a future they had earned with their blood, sweat, and tears. "Captain," another voice called from behind him. Carter turned to see the fleet's admiral approaching. "Is it over?" Carter asked. The admiral nodded. "For now, yes. We've won. The galaxy is watching, and they know what humanity is capable of now." Carter looked back at the wreckage of the alien fleet, his mind heavy with thoughts of what came next. "And what about the rest of the galaxy?" he asked. "Are they ready for what's coming?" The admiral paused, considering the question. "We'll find out soon enough. But I have a feeling Earth's not the only one watching." The war had been won, but it was only the beginning of a new chapter for humanity. With the alien threat neutralized and Earth standing victorious, the human race would now face the daunting task of rebuilding. The sacrifices made during the war would be honored, and the legacy of those who fought would endure for generations. As Captain Carter walked away from the battlefield, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had fought against impossible odds, and they had emerged victorious. Jupiter, once just a distant planet, now stood as a symbol of what humanity was capable of, determined, resilient, and unbreakable. The galaxy had witnessed Earth's strength, and though the war was over, Carter knew that humanity had proven something even more important: they had proven that they would never give up. They would never back down in the face of adversity. No matter what the future held, Earth would stand strong. And as the sun rose over the horizon, casting its light on the silent battlefield, Carter felt a sense of hope. The war was over for now. But humanity's future was just beginning. The galaxy would never forget what they had done. Captain Carter, though hailed as a hero, carried the burden of his choices and the weight of the lives lost. He had seen the horrors of war, and though victory was sweet, it was always tinged with the sadness of sacrifice. As he walked away from the battlefield, his thoughts were on the future. There was still much to do. The war was over, but the journey was far from finished. Earth had emerged victorious, but Carter knew that there would always be new battles ahead. The universe was vast, and humanity was just beginning to make its mark. What would the future hold? Only time would tell. But for now, Captain Carter knew one thing for certain: humanity had won, and that was enough. For today, Earth had proved that it was more than just a tiny planet in a distant corner of the galaxy. It had proven that it could stand toe-to-toe with the mightiest of foes and emerge victorious. And that was something no one would ever forget.